Alright, let's get moving. Like I promised, we're going to go ahead and work on using this photoresistor here. And we're going to collect data, and we're going to actually use it to manipulate yet another variable. And I think I'm going to introduce yet another term in this particular one. So it could be fun, but we'll try to keep it short. And in that effort, let's realize that the next thing I'm going to do is going to be a lot of the same stuff. It's going to be the same pins, same LED, same photoresistor, same basic circuit. So we're going to make our lives really easy here. And we're going to copy basically everything setup and above. And I'm going to make a new one. Okay. So let's change this. We're going to change control the light flash. We're going to change the light fade. Okay, with the photoresistor. So we've got it hooked up to the same input pin, A6. We've got our variable that stores the data that we collect from our input pin. We've got our RGB, red, green, blue LEDs hooked up to 3, 4, and 5. Set them up as output. We've opened up a serial port just in case we need to use it. And let's keep going. We need our void loop section. And actually, let me think. I think we're going to start off with the same basic thing. Well, I'll rewrite it. Okay. So we're going to have value is equal to analog read of the in pin, right? Okay. So this time I think she got the capitals right. I got everything looks good. Okay. And what we want to do is we want to substitute into that fade section where that value between 0 and 255 went, and we're going to put that into our LEDs. So if you recall, to do that for pulse width modulation for LEDs or motors, which is what we're ultimately going to get to, it's an analog write, and it goes to the pin, in which case we're going to go to red, for example, and we're going to put in value. Okay, so let's see, does that look right? That should actually be it. Let's just give this a try here. Control C. Okay. And red, green, and blue. Okay. And so it sucks in the data, puts it into value, and then it's going to go ahead and write those in. We'll throw in a teeny tiny delay. I don't know, 10 milliseconds, just to give it a chance. And I think we should see it. I think we should see these lights dim. In this case, they're going to it's going to be like bright, okay? Because remember, if I turn on red, green, and blue all at the same time, it's going to look white. So what we're going to see is the light get darker or brighter depending on the amount of light. So let's load it. Hopefully it all works out okay. Give it a quick test. Sure enough, it looks white. And if I bring in a light, there you go. It fades. Okay, that was easy enough. Let's do, like I said, I was going to introduce something new. Alright? Remember how the values went everywhere from about 30 to 800? And yet this value here, this number that corresponds to the pulse width, can only go to 255. So we can already chunk off a big piece. We can just say if the value is greater than 255, and then we're going to throw in a couple brackets. We can do this a couple different ways, but I'll show you this way. Then value is equal to 255. Okay, so we really shouldn't see any difference in our code here because it was just saturating before. But let's load it up and see. And now what's happening is our value is never going over 255. And if you don't believe me, this is why we open up that serial port. Let's just do a serial dot print new line and put in value. And we're going to make this a little more than, because it's really hard to see it. Let's make it, I don't know, let's make it 200 milliseconds. It gets to be hard to read it when it's flying by that fast. Okay, so what we should see is it never go over 255. Bring the light in though, it drops down. But we've now nixed the ability for it to actually get a value greater than 255 to the fade routine. Alright? Wow, that might actually be it. I'm going to pause it for a second and then come back. Okay, this time it's going to be your turn to pause because I've changed the code ever so slightly, barely at all. But it does something different. Now, if you have a smartphone or something like that, you've probably noticed, you know, if I'm out in bright sunlight, the display gets brighter. If I'm in someplace dark, the display gets darker. Well, I've written the program in such a way that it does just that. Right now, it's in sort of the dark. I turn on a light, move it closer and closer, and of course, my LED gets brighter and brighter and brighter. Okay? Just like your smartphone or whatever it is you may or may not have. So, your challenge right now is to pause, and I'm going to pause again, and figure out how to do that. And then I'm going to show you how I did it in just a few moments. So, pause now. Okay, well, hopefully you figured it out, and let me tell you how I did it. So, keep in mind, the number here in value, the bigger the number, the brighter the light. Okay? We've already made it so that it can't exceed a value of 255. So it's only going to be from 0 to 255. Anything greater than 255 is going to be equal to 255. So we can do this, change it, its behavior, invert it very simply. All we have to do is stick in one more line of code, and we can say that value, if you can spell it right, is equal to 200 and I'm going to give it 56. Look at that, 156. 256 minus value. Okay? So therefore, if that value is 255, the value is going to be 1, and it's going to stick a 1 in there. If the value is 100, it's going to be 156, and it's going to stick 156 in there. Okay? So if I load this up, oh, what did I do? Oh, look at that. I forgot the... It's a good thing you guys were watching. Okay. It does, hopefully, what I want it to. Turn on the light, bring it in, LED gets brighter, brighter, dimmer, brighter, dimmer. Darkness, I have it set at 1, so it won't go any lower than that. Okay? So there you go. This one's going to be under 10 minutes. You've done a homework assignment, and you've learned a new thing. If. Okay? And I'll just review that right now. All you have to do is have the if parameter in the parentheses, and just like the while statement you've already been using, you have your open and close brackets, and then the function that occurs within. Okay? And we are definitely going to be doing lots of if statements. You know, if the robot sees a wall, well, you know, you can plow into it or you can avoid it. Okay? So these are going to be very important statements. Whiles and ifs, we're going to use them over and over and over again. So hopefully that was it, and I'll see you shortly.